Okie dokie. Shakespeare Sonnets, Part 3. Welcome to an increasing level of organization and systematization of our analysis process. So what we've got here, we've got Shakespeare's. You know what, I'm going to put a P-E-A-R-E, Shakespeare's Sonnets, Part 3. Part 3. So if you want to do the cheat sheet version, here it is. This is where we're going. I thought about this for about 2 hours, worked my way through. You want to do some kind of a, I don't know. This is where we're going. So let's just get there. So you're going to try to explain what's going on in a sonnet. We've talked about structure. And in structure, we've got 3 different aspects of structure. Aspect number 1, the quatrains. Q-U-A-T-R-A-I-N-S. And more specifically, like, what does each one mean? And if you're going to be explaining it to someone who's like, I don't know, judging your ability to explain, you're going to want to have some text support. So we're going to add some text support in there, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now with the color yellow. So this new, more systematized version of a sonnet exploration has got some colors to it. First, we're going to look at our quatrains, and we're going to make those brackets yellow for our quatrains, and we got another one down here for our heroic couplet. So we have got Q1, we got Q2, we got Q3, and then we have the heroic couplet HC. So for each one, we want to be able to state like what's going on in this couplet, like what's happening, or what's going on in this quatrain, what's happening. So in this particular one, we have, oh, that you were yourself, but love you are. What do we notice here? If it's going to be a structural thing we're noticing, we're going to put it in yellow. So what we have here is an enjambed line. That's actually the third most important thing with our structure, but I'm going to write it down right now after the second most important thing, which is sentence structure. How are the sentences built? Also known as syntax. I'll explain what that is a little bit later, but down here we're going to have number 3 is enjambments. Enjambments. And importantly, like, what do they do to meaning? Speaking about meaning, I've had some further thoughts about what we're looking for when we're looking for a sonnet. We're trying to do the work of explaining a sonnet and how it works. Well, as always, we've got a theme. We want to fill in as we read through. We want to be able to make some kind of a statement of theme that we write fairly clearly. Are there 2 themes that play in sonnets? Sure. You could write theme twice if you want. The other thing happening in the sonnets, because we know that there's these figures that they're written to, that they are statements about a relationship between 2 and sometimes 3 people. So the other question we want to have is like, what does this sonnet particularly reveal about the relationship between the poet, I'm going to say the poet and the recipient, because the idea is like, you know, remember this, like a sonnet is like a gift. You give it to someone. So this recipient, R-E-C-I-E-P-I-E-N-T, which that's how I'm going to spell that word, is like a gift. So what does it say about that relationship? And then also like others, because in some sonnets there's other people that are outside that relationship. Sometimes it's a dark lady, sometimes it's a rival poet, sometimes it's a group of people. But what does it say about those relationships between the poet and those external figures? The other thing that might, that's going to be in play that you want to be able to explain in your analysis is like, what's the poet's frame of mind in this sonnet? What is the poet's frame of mind? You know, how's he doing? Is he okay? Sometimes he's not okay. What is the poet's frame of mind in this sonnet? You want to, in your explication, be able to very clearly like define and differentiate like what's going on in this sonnet that you understand. So those things are kind of fun to think about. This one right here, like this relationship one, and this like how's bro doing. So I'm gonna slide it down here, and I'm gonna make two diagrams that just to show you like of the range of sonnets, 154 of them, like what kind of things are going on. So in different sonnets, we have a poet's emotional state. All right, so we've got this one right here. I'll kind of put it in a cloud like that. And then we also have like a relationship status. Relationship status. And I started thinking about it as like a continuum, like love, hate, relationship status, but it's more complicated than that because it's Shakespeare, so I'll have to have a longer continuum that probably has some weird branches on it, but that's how I visualized it. So down at the bottom, we talked before about like a high. We talked about Chaucer. We talked about this idealized love where like everything is perfection. And then there was also in Chaucer, in the Miller's Tale, this version of love that was like very, very not that, very not idealized, very like just kind of like full of lust and action and consequences and guilt and like, you know, and we see the gambit in Shakespeare's sonnets. So we've got, and I put it down here, maybe you'd put it up there, I don't know, but we've got red hot lust right here. But we also have in the middle, we've got I admire you. So what's my relationship? Admiration. Sometimes it's red hot lust. Over here, we've got some other possibilities. We have, I put it up here. I don't know, maybe I should put it down. I think I'm going to put it down here. I admire you is like the relationship. I'll make a little detour down here that says you destroyed my soul because there's some that are like that. You destroyed my soul. Up here, you know, around here, we also have you cheated on me. Sometimes it's you cheated on me, but I understand. You cheat on me, but, you know, it's complicated. I'll put up this is the extreme continuum up here. Is some of them say, like, you have literally created the world. Is like an extreme idealized love, where the love is way, way, way up there. So these are the different kinds of relationships. You know, we also have kind of like somewhere over here, we're going to have I am jealous, is, you know, jealous of you, jealous of others, jealous of things that other people have. So there's more relationships over there. The poet's emotional state, we've got a similar complicated continuum, and I'll kind of give you some of the extremes. Kill me, down here, simple statement, kill me. And then up on the other extreme, and this one is more of a continuum. So here we have, I'm down in the dumps, kill me. But we also have in other places, I am godlike in my ability to create through poetry immortality. So there are some extremes right there. And then there's also this side extreme. So these are like horrible continua because they don't work that way. But life is unbearable. There's a lot of these. Life is unbearable except thinking of you. That's pretty popular. We see that quite a bit. So when we're getting into like what's the poem about, ultimately we're looking for some kind of theme which I'll tell you for a 113, it is a familiar one because it's that first sequence of 17 that are like, you need to have children. You need to continue your beauty. But we can't be that general. So getting back to where we were here for structure, quatrains, what do they mean with text support? I'm going to find like in each of these quatrains, what are the, if I was going to say like what is really going on here? It's clear that this one, oh, that you were yourself, but love, you are no longer yours, than you yourself here live, against this coming end. So this coming end, that's my evidence. So this coming end, what's being referred to there is death. Against this coming end, you should prepare, and your sweet semblance to some other give. So whenever your semblance is given to another, that is Shakespeare's way of saying, have children, young man. You need to have some children. So I'd say from this quatrain, what we have here is advice. That's kind of like the rhetorical setup for this particular sonnet. This one is advice. And so in this set of advice, you will die, have children, is what's going on in this first quatrain. And so if you were explicating this poem and someone was judging your ability to explain what's happening in the poem, you would say something like, in quatrain 1, it's clear that this particular sonnet is set up as a piece of advice from the poet to the young man, because it's in the early sequence. And in the advice plays on a theme that has been that has emerged from many of these early sonnets. You need to have children. So when in quatrain 1 we have this coming end is a reference to death, and we have your sweet semblance to some other give, which is really just another way of saying to have a child. And so in quatrain 2, what we'd have, so should that beauty which you hold in lease find no determination, then you were yourself again after yourself's decease, when your sweet issue your sweet form should bear. So in this, what we have is development. So this piece of advice is further developed. So it's like it's adding on, but the development is interesting because there's a metaphor here that's like a banking metaphor. So your beauty, again, that you hold in lease. So you hold in lease. If you have a lease on something, you're leasing something, it means you don't really own it. And this determination also has a meaning that's like to banking, which means like when the lease comes due, you have reached like a determination. So we have development, but he's developing it by creating a metaphor. So metaphor on banking. When yourself, and then we also have decease and bear, which I'm not going to talk about in terms of structure. So here I'm talking about structure, how everything's built. Quatrain 3, we have a slight turn. Who lets so fair a house fall to decay? So now we have a new metaphor. So fair house is fair, a house is him, his body, to decay. So we have a new metaphor where the house equals, so new metaphor, where the house equals the man, the young man, the lovely young man. And we also have, I'll talk about this later, but this is kind of, the imagery is much stronger here. Stormy gusts in winter's day, rage of death's eternal cold is a lot more powerful. All of this is kind of middle of the road. This is not really like too dynamic up here as far as imagery is concerned, because it is like that banking. It's like an argument, it's like it's advice. And so that lets you know the relationship status. This is not red hot lust over here. This is more like, I admire you. This is like, yeah, you've got some really good qualities, and you should probably share those. What's the poet's emotional state? Very reasonable, rational. Whew, better add that one, because he is quite rational at different times. Like middle of the road, rational.